Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the Untitled Game Channel. I'm AJ Gells. Guys, how's it going? I know I finally procrastinated enough and decided, I guess I gotta do this show tonight. Pretty happy right now though. I got the money scrounged up together and currently downloading onto my PS4's Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. So after this, expect a video of that. There's something else I wanted to say real quick before we go. Can somebody go into the comments and tell me, does my screen look dimmer than usual, or is it like the recording or something? Because there's just something going on. I don't know. It's my screen just seems dim right now. It could be my own dim mind. So that's where I'm gonna leave on that one. If it's not obvious, I'm gonna be starting on IGN in this. It's a very interesting article and an interesting lawsuit. I like to start with lawsuits. But if you're new to the show, basically, what I do here, I gather news from around. This week, like most weeks, is heavily IGN. I like IGN, leave me alone. But so we will basically just be covering video game news I found interesting. As always, you can go down in the description. You can find me on any of those social media platforms and tweet at me, Facebook me, send me something over on Minds, what have you, for a news story that I might have missed that you wanted to hear my thoughts on, or you wanted covered, whatever. And I'll do a separate video for that. You can also go in the comments and do that. And other than that, links to every article and timestamps will be in the description below of when I switch topics. So there we go. Let's just get right into this. And this is the first story from IGN, written by Alex Gilyadev. Accessory company sues Nintendo over Switch design. The article reads, Nintendo is being sued by accessory company GameVice over the Switch's design. Engadget reports GameVice filed a lawsuit against Nintendo because the design of its latest system is too similar to GameVice's Android gaming tablet, the WikiPad. The accessory company believes Nintendo violated a patent and that the Switch's detachable Joy-Con controllers are too close to what GameVice had in mind for its portable device. So you can see, I'm gonna guess, yeah, the phone and the pad gaming device thing. Let's see here, and this is off their official site. You can check out the image of the WikiPad above. It features dual analog sticks, four analog buttons, and an analog D-pad. GameVice is demanding Nintendo to stop selling the Switch over all the costs, cover all the costs related to the lawsuit, and pay damages for infringing the patent. Neither GameVice nor Nintendo have commented on the lawsuit yet. When reached for comment, a representative for Nintendo said, and I quote, "We have nothing to announce on this topic," end quote. Read IGN's Nintendo Switch review to find out why we believe it, and I quote, "blurs the line between handheld and home console, but it doesn't feel quite at home in either role," end quote. I think that right there, that is exactly how I feel about the Switch. I feel like, what's that old expression? The man who tries to please everyone ends up pleasing no one, something like that. And I could have just made that up completely or just paraphrased something. Either way, but how I feel about the Switch is completely irrelevant in this. This all kind of comes down to the lawsuit, and while I am far from a legal expert, let alone a legal expert in patent law, I don't think. I mean, they're similar concepts, but the problem with patent, I'm trying to think how to put this and how I understand patent law to be. So again, I could be totally wrong on this because I'm not an expert in patent law, but as far as I can understand it, this is similar to when the writer of Battle Royale sued Suzanne Collins for the Hunger Games. It's because her book was in editing while his book was published. They both came to the same basic concept, but came to it separately. I think that's what we have here. I think they both came to the same concept, but separately, because this, as far, they have it might be a little different in patent law because they have the patent, and I think you're supposed to search for patents before you release hardware like this, but again, I think there's enough differences between them. I mean, they're similar, but again, I'm gonna say there's enough differences. I'm gonna guess this is gonna end like most gaming lawsuits do, which is gonna end in a settlement between the companies, and nothing's gonna come of this. But overall, I don't think Nintendo broke any law or anything. You know, I don't think they infringed on the patent. I don't think they did anything like that, because I think this is a case of both people came up with a similar idea at different times. Or maybe not at different times. Maybe that's not the correct term for it. But I'm gonna take a shot and say this is going to be the last we actually hear about this. It's going to be settled behind closed doors, and we're never going to hear about this. This is just going to kind of slip into obscurity. But I don't know. I found it interesting. I thought it would be fun to bring it up. Ask you guys what you guys think. If anybody out there knows patent law better than I do, because like I said, I'm pulling this entirely out of my ass. Feel free, go to the comments. Tell me I'm wrong. Start a conversation. You know, love talking with you guys in the comments if you would like to. And yeah, that's about what we got for that. We got a couple stuff from Middle-earth: Shadow of War. I'm gonna start with something kind of weird here. This is Middle-earth: Shadow of War's Nemesis system will have microtransactions. Let's see here, written by Alex Osborne, also IGN. The article reads, Middle-earth: Shadow of War's expanded Nemesis system will feature microtransactions, and developer Monolith has shed light on how they'll work. According to the studio's official announcement, and I quote, players can purchase loot chests, war chests, XP boosts, and bundles. Give me a second. Gross. Through the market to strengthen their army. Within loot chests, players will find weapons and armor, as well as XP boosts, which make Talion level up quicker. War chests contain new orc followers that will help you strengthen your army, as well as training orders, which let you level up and customize your orcs. Bundles include a combination of loot chests, war chests, and XP boosters together at a package deal. These items can be acquired by spending Mirian, an in-game currency that you can find stashes of while playing the game. You can also acquire Mirian by taking down treasure orcs and destroying gear. Players also have the option of purchasing Shadow of War's other in-game currency, which can be acquired by spending real money. Participating in community challenges and completing specific milestones will earn gold as well. Middle-earth: Shadow of War launches for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC on October 10th. Its predecessor, Shadow of Mordor, has been updated with a Nemesis Forge feature that will let you import your followers and enemies to the new game. Alright, now, this is a very, I'm going to say an interesting story, because I know how people always feel about microtransactions, and I'm going to sit here and go, I wouldn't necessarily call this, me personally, I wouldn't necessarily call this microtransactions. I mean, we're talking about loot chests and everything. For me, a microtransaction is something you buy outside of the game in the PlayStation Store that then carries over into, like stuff like loot boxes and chests and all that are usually used, you see a lot in multiplayer games. You know, you get currency to buy upgrades or whatever, for multiplayer shooters. You don't really see them in RPGs like this. So I'm gonna guess that it's like I said, this stuff is used by spending Mirian, however that's pronounced, which is stuff that you get through playing the game. So it's not necessarily. I think it's technically I think it's technically a microtransaction, but I don't consider it on the same vein as, well, I'm going to spend money to get this fancy gun early in multiplayer. I think it's a little different, and I think gold is going to be the same way. I think it's going to be just another in-game currency, and you can then spend real-world money to get that gold and then spend it in-game. So I don't see a problem with this. Apparently there's been a conversation about this. I haven't really been paying much attention to it, just because I don't rightly care, because I'm not a big multiplayer guy. I know there's a big thing in multiplayer circles about microtransactions and the, you know, kind of the pay to get a special gun early, then you would unlock it, or just flat out pay to get a special gun that nobody else has access to. I get the frustration in those, but because I'm not a big multiplayer guy, I kind of just, I don't weigh in on it just because it doesn't really affect me. And same in this. I don't think it really affects anybody but the actual player. So, although I guess it could affect other people because, into our next article, Middle-earth: Shadow of War has a ranked online mode. Now, article by Joe Scrubbles of IGN. The article reads, Middle-earth: Shadow of War is learning some slightly unexpected lessons from contemporary gaming. Last week we found out it features a loot box microtransactions. Today we discover it has a ranked online mode. Social Conquest, as it is somewhat oxymoronically titled, will task players with choosing one of their captured Nemesis fortresses, outfitting its defenses, appointing an orc overlord, and accompanying captains, then making it available for attack by online players. It's not a far cry from Metal Gear Solid 5's forward operating bases. As soon as I read that, I was about to say it's MGS5, but essentially. As reported by Eurogamer, attacking in Social Conquest comes in two flavors. Friendly conquests are dry runs. You're not at any risk, but their rewards are comparatively small. In ranked mode, however, players will earn loot boxes and currency to buy yet more loot boxes upon victory. The catch: any of your fellow orcs who die in ranked conquest are lost forever, even in the main campaign. Winning a conquest is a matter of skill and speed. The attacker needs to capture a series of points before going on to kill the overlord. The quicker you complete the assault, the higher your ranking. The higher your ranking, the better fortress you can assault. Lose an assault, and that ranking goes down. As pointed out in Eurogamer's video on the subject, Social Conquest provide a way for developer Monolith to allow its biggest and most interesting new feature, the addition of custom fortresses, to be an essentially endless feature for players. Shadow of War also brings back Shadow of Mordor's own online offering, Vendetta missions. If an orc kills a fellow player's version of Hero Italian, you may be given the option to kill the murderer. Vendettas are now more involved. However, taking one on will now transport you into the other player's world and have you complete a generated mission, culminating in a duel. Complete this, and both you and the murderee are rewarded. Got a loyal follower from the last game that you'd like to blah. That's the whole thing right there about that forge that I talked about in the last one. This is it's interesting. It's just like forward operating base. I like the fact that you can get loot, you can level up and all this. With the orc overlords and everything, you can level up your orcs and all that. Or I'm assuming that's how the orc thing works. Again, this is a feature. It's kind of like the forward operating base, and come on, brain. Metal Gear Solid 5, I just won't use. It's just because I don't like to take unless it's to probably get a couple trophies. But overall, I'm not a big fan of these kind of things, just because I don't want to take the time to set up all these defenses and have to go back and in and out, and I just kind of want to play and get lost in the story. But overall, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's probably the right way to do it for this game, because I think it fits within the world. The concepts functions really well. And again, I still think microtransactions is still a little bit of a misnomer, because again, it seems like it's more in-game, using in-game currency as opposed to as pay to win. But I don't know. Again, you can disagree with me. Go into the comments and tell me that. I'm trying to think here. I don't think the Vendetta thing, how this is exactly going to work, it was explained very well. In my opinion, but I'm assuming it's not very different from the first game. There was something in here that I saw that caught my eye and I wanted to bring up, and I can't remember what it was. Oh, it said the custom fortresses. Because I knew you could set kind of the overlord of a fortress and then the captains to help back them up. I knew you could do that. My question is, how much customization are we talking? I understand defenses and all this, but can we change it cosmetically? Can we do this, that, the other thing? I think that'll be very interesting. And again, I keep saying this about a lot of games, man. It's interesting, and I can't wait to play it. But God, I can't wait to play some of these games, man. Middle-earth: Shadow of War, Assassin's Creed Origins, Call of Duty WW2, South Park: Fractured Butthole. There's so much great stuff coming out by the end of this year, and I just can't wait. Just fucking cannot wait. So here, next one. This is just something that kind of caught my eye, because I have to say this about this game. Really? This is Respawn still heavily invested in Titanfall Universe. More on the way. by Alex Osborne of IGN. Titanfall fans have much to look forward to, as Respawn Entertainment has no plans to abandon its first-person shooter franchise anytime soon. And I quote, "It's important for us to keep the franchise going," end quote. Respawn CEO Vince Zampella told GameSpot after noting the sales for Titanfall 2 were good, but could have done better. Yeah, it could have done better if you didn't... Wait, was it... Yeah, it was sandwiched between Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Which, again, people keep bashing on Infinite Warfare. I'm going to go to bat for that game every damn time and say, look, say what you want about the multiplayer, say what you want about zombies or whatever, because I think those things have been stale since fucking ever. The thing that I loved about it, I thought its story was cool. It was an interesting... It was a new way of doing a Call of Duty story. I actually liked controlling the ships. I enjoyed... Oh, shit. Sorry. Smacked my keyboard. I really liked the game. I thought it was a lot of fun. Go check out my Let's Play if you want to see it and haven't played it yet. I liked it. Come fight me. But yeah, but I think... But that's why your sales could have been better. You should not... I would have held that out and put that at the beginning of this year, at the start. And also, I would have taken out that one that becomes the Master Trophy, because that trophy was a bitch and a half to get, and that's putting it lightly. Sorry, I have the platinum for that game. Anything to talk about that? Let's see here. And I quote, "We have our franchise creative director who's in charge of safeguarding the franchise in multiple formats and making sure it continues to grow," end quote, he added. Now, real quick, I do want to add, though, I did like Titanfall 2. I enjoyed the story. It was fun. The whole thing with the Titan. I liked BB-8. Is that what? God, what was the robot's name? Why can't I remember it now? Son of a bitch. I had the long-term memory of a fucking fly, guys. Either way, I like the character, I like the main character, I like the robot, I liked everything, it was a lot of fun. It's just really, this is a franchise, I think leave the franchise there and go. Let's see, Zampella went on to stress that Respawn is, and I quote, "heavily invested in the Titanfall universe," end quote, saying there's content they're working on that hasn't been announced yet. And I quote, "We're working on more Titanfall, we're not announcing what that is yet, but there's a few other things in the works," end quote, he said. See, I also think the multiplayer needs work. It didn't feel right to me. It felt slow. It felt slow where it was, how to put this? It never felt like it was paced right. It always felt, it felt like matches went by so damn slow, but then next thing I want to say it was slow when it should have been fast and fast when it should have been slow, but I can't think of when it should be slow. It never felt right to me. It always felt off. Shortly after the launch of Titanfall 2 last year, Zampella spoke to the possibility of a third installment, saying at that time he was unsure if there would be a Titanfall 3. Publisher EA has said it doesn't see Titanfall 2 sales as an underperformance, and since the sequel's launch, Respawn has released a steady stream of DLC. Additionally, the studio soft-launched a mobile RTS game called Titanfall Assault, I haven't played it, back in May, and plans to launch the full game on August 10th. Like I said, I haven't played it. For more on Respawn's sci-fi FPS franchise, check out IGN's unfiltered interview with Zampella. Again, I don't want to say, again, I'm like EA. I wouldn't say underperformed. I'd just say I don't think this is a franchise. I think this is kind of like, I don't want to say beating a dead horse, because that's not technically true. I'd say you're just trying to, I don't know how to put it. I think trying it with 3... How to put this? I think doing Titanfall 3 wouldn't be a bad idea, but I don't think a fall release date, like it's one of these big, big AAA titles, even if it has AAA money behind it, or AAA effort behind it, I would push it more towards like the beginning of the year or a summer release. I would not go in the fall. I think that is suicide to a game like this, and I think last year proved that it was suicide trying to compete with not just a new Battlefield or Call of Duty, but with both of them. That was suicide. And not even that. Putting them the week between was one of the dumbest things you could have done. Moving on. Fallout 4 Game of the Year edition release date announced. That is a really nice. I like Pip-Boy. I actually kind of wish that this was the cover of that box and not just the power armor thing. Article by Alex Gilead of IGN. Fallout 4 is getting a Game of the Year edition nearly 2 years after its release on September 26 for PC, Xbox One, and PS4. Pricing for the Game of the Year edition has yet to be revealed, but it's confirmed to come with all the latest updates to Fallout 4, such as mod support, survival mode, and a few graphical enhancements. Fallout 4 box art. It'll include all 6 of the game's add-on content: Nuka World, Vault Tech Workshop, Contraptions Workshop, Far Harbor, Wasteland Workshop, and Automatron. Really, I think Automatron, Far Harbor, and Nuka World are about the only useful ones, I guess. I wasn't a big fan of the Vault Tech Workshop and the Contraptions Workshop and the Wasteland Workshop, just because I really didn't play around with the... I'm trying to think what it was. I really didn't play around with the settlement things, but I know there are people who like that stuff, so, you know, more power to you. Bethesda will also be releasing a limited amount of Fallout 4 GOTY Pip-Boy Collector Edition exclusive in North America, which will run you $99.99 along with including a copy of Fallout 4 Game of the Year Edition. You'll be getting a Pip-Boy as well. Okay, so it's going to be like the Collector's Edition when Fallout 4 came out. Read IGN's review of Fallout 4 to find out why the game scored blah 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 9.5. I think I give it an 8. I mean, except I thought it was good. I thought it was above average. I thought it was good. It was a lot of fun. I think the game worked. I just don't think it was... How to put it? It wasn't what I necessarily wanted out of that game. And also, I'm going to guess for price of it, it's going to be an even 60. It's going to be a normal release. It's my guess. So here, next to last, again, this is a really short one. This is Horizon Zero Dawn's The Frozen Wilds DLC now has a release date. Article by Joe Scrabbles IGN. Horizon Zero Dawn's first DLC expansion. Oh wow, I was only expecting this, and that's about it. The Frozen Wilds will be released on November 7th, heralded by a teeny tiny teaser trailer below. I've gone over that here on the channel. I just can't remember where. Is it E3? The DLC also got a brief description on the PlayStation blog, and I quote, set in icy territories to the north, the new chapter of Aloy's journey adds a new area to explore, new mysteries to uncover, and new highly lethal machines to take on. Those who pre-ordered the DLC through the PlayStation Store will get an exclusive avatar for their efforts. I have it. The Frozen Wilds was announced at E3 this year, following huge review scores and huge sales success. Definitely, if you haven't played Horizon Zero Dawn, or you can go check out my Let's Play. But I definitely suggest playing it. It was great. It was 10 out of 10 in my opinion. I really want to say my game of the year, but just because of how big, I know it's not going to win game of the year at the end. But my personal game of the year is Persona 5. That game was so good. But Horizon Zero Dawn was also just phenomenal. It just a great fucking game. That's all I need to say about it, in my opinion. I think you just need to say it is a great fucking game. And I will be playing The Frozen Wilds when it comes out, so you can come back and check that out later. Or when it comes out in November. Let's see here. The final thing we're going to talk about. This is an article from GameSpot by Addy Makuch. We asked if Skull and Bones will have a single-player campaign. Here's what Ubisoft said. This was a game that was announced at E3. This game, I don't think has a current release date, or it might just be sometime 2018. But this is a game built off of the naval kind of combat from Pirates of the Caribbean 4. This is from Ubisoft Singapore. There we go. It looks really interesting. But I had a problem with the whole... And again, this is a personal problem. This is not something that I would hold the game accountable of. I just don't like this kind of story, this kind of game. It's set. I love pirates and all this, but my problem is it doesn't look like it looked like at the time. There's not going to be a multiplayer. There's not going to be a single player. It looked like there was only going to be multiplayer stuff. Maybe this article will prove me wrong. The article reads: Ubisoft announced the exciting and ambitious-looking pirate ship combat game, there we go, Skull and Bones at E3. We played a portion of the multiplayer and enjoyed it. Fans are wondering if there is any single-player content. Me. However, Ubisoft clarified that there will be some form of and I quote, narrative campaign, but we don't know a lot about it yet. We caught up with the creative director, Justin Farron, recently, and we asked for more specifics about the campaign. He told us that the campaign elements will be woven into the multiplayer, so there may not be a distinct campaign as some would have wanted. Ugh. Farron stated off by telling us that he's a big fan of Naughty Dog's The Last of Us. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but okay. Which was praised in part for its incredible, memorable, and haunting story. But for Skull and Bones, Farron said his team's looking for more of the shared narrative approach. Son of a bitch. That is my problem. And again, you want to play a multiplayer, you want to make a multiplayer game? Fine. Stop making it look appealing to me. I'm sorry, there was a lot of sarcasm in there. But no, it's just, that's my thing. I don't want to share my narrative with anybody. Leave me the hell alone. Let me play by myself. Let me be antisocial. So, and a quote, the narrative where people can broadcast or stream what they're doing, and it's a unique experience to that player, end quote. Sorry, not end quote. And it's a unique experience to that player, he said. So we wanted to take that approach. Like, how do you create a systematic world where every single player's experience is different, and also tie it to a world narrative where you meet historical pirates, historically inspired characters, and that you have a narrative where you develop a bond with your crew and interesting characters along the way, taking out kingpins. All those things are part of a narrative, but we didn't want it to be separate, that you just consumed and never looked back. End quote. Instead, Skull and Bones' story will be told over the course of many months and years. Ubisoft is increasingly focused on the games as a service model. Yeah. So it's no big surprise that Skull and Bones would take this approach as well. Right there, though, this games as a service model. I cannot stand this model, because this is fundamentally trying to fuse multiplayer and single player. Stop it. Because the thing, it's again, this comes down to those who try to please everyone, please no one. I don't think you're making a hardcore multiplayer game that a lot of multiplayer people will like, and you're going to lose people like me who just want to sit down, not have an internet connection, and play by themselves. You're going to lose people like me. That's the thing. You're trying to attract everyone, but I think you're ending up pulling other people away. Again, you can disagree with me, but that's my take on it. Because this is my thing. I don't want my game to take months and years to tell me a story. I mean, I'm perfectly happy. Like with The Order 1886, that game was really short. I would have liked it to be longer, but even then, I still enjoyed the story you told me, and I also want a sequel. Or short games like Uncharted. I loved Uncharted. It's still fairly short. The Last of Us, again, I'd say, 10, 15 hours? I'm probably overshooting it with that. I mean, these games, short games can be just as good, and I've gone back and played The Last of Us a few times. I've gone back and played Uncharted a few times. The thing is, if a game is good, people will go back to it. You don't need to have this, well, here's a new multiplayer mode, or here's a new this, whatever, here's a small little tweak. That's not going to bring me back. It's why I played Destiny for maybe a month and then put it down and never went back. I finished the story, never went back, because I don't like my video games to be this big social experience. I want it to be kind of like a movie, where if it's an okay movie, I might come back to it in a year or two, or if it's a really good movie, I might want to watch it again and again and again. It's the same thing with a video game. Let's see here. And I quote, we wanted to create a system that let us tell our narrative month after month, year after year, and then throw in the story elements, and then throw in the story elements to it. And Farron said, so if you're a PvP player, you should still feel like you beat the campaign. If you're a PvE player, or like me, I plan on sailing with my daughter a lot, I want us to be able to go through the story and become kingpins together, and be able to tell the same world narrative through the game worlds that we build. But that doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand how you're going to fuse these elements. That's the thing. They're being very cagey with this. Because from what I'm seeing is there a PvE in this game? That's my question. How are you going to mix the narrative with the multiplayer? Because they seem almost completely separate to me. It just doesn't make sense. And this is what's causing a lot of my anger. I mean, like I said, that, and again, that whole games as a service model that I just think is complete and utter ass, but that's a personal opinion. It's just, there's something here, man, that just sounds really fishy to me, that again, I think is going to keep people away. And he added, and I quote, "It's different. There's not a lot of games that do this. I wonder why. But we really think that this is where people really want to experience narrative on a personal level." How is it a personal level if I have to experience it with other people? Sorry. Where they can effectively change the world. People always say it's a living, breathing world. Well, we really take that to heart. We want to create a world that actually reacts to the things that you do in it, end quote. Okay, you can do that without me having to play with other people. I don't understand that. And again, it could just be I'm misunderstanding something here. But I don't get... I mean, how does it change the world if I do something in multiplayer? I won this little multiplayer match. Okay, I get the loot rewards for it. Okay, well then I do it to improve myself and I keep beating other people. How is this changing the world, this living world that's going on? I just don't get it. And maybe I'm not supposed to get it because I just don't understand it. But this makes no sense to me. Again, if somebody can explain it, please help me. Let's see here. Press to clarify if Skull and Bones has a completely separate single-player mode. Farron said, and I quote, it's woven into it, so the story itself will be woven into everything you do, from the time that you build your relationships with your crew until the time that you take down your first kingpin, building up your hideout. All those things are woven into the modes that you play. Okay, but you haven't really explained that. You haven't really explained what the from what I remember from E3, aren't kingpins made when players get to a certain level of notoriety through playing the multiplayer? And I just... How are we building a relationship with our crew if all the story is told through multiplayer matches and not through... This reminds me of... Oh, God, what game? I think it was called Brink. It was supposed to be a kind of like a multiplayer shooter that had a story. I just don't think this is going to work. Man. For players who don't want PvP, what will Skull and Bones offer them? Farron said he hopes you try it, even if you don't think it's for you. And I quote, I certainly hope that people will try to do our PvP, because we think it's pretty compelling, and it's not a different, like Call of Duty when you play campaign and you go offline. Okay? And you get something very different. Okay, I understand that. He said, okay, I worked on Gears for a while, and the players who play Gears multiplayer, they are different sometimes than the people who really invest in campaign. We want to bring those experiences closer together for it to be a one-off campaign that's consumed would be a shame. And again, this is my huge question. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with if you want to play the multiplayer in Gears, it's there. If you want to play the story, it's there. Why do we have to come together with this bit? I don't understand it. And again, maybe it's I'm being closed-minded or something. I feel like this entire end half of this video is just me going, I don't get it. Just because I don't. Because he's being so wishy-washy and so... because this also contradicts what he said earlier. If it's woven into the multiplayer, I have no choice but to play PvP. So is this like Destiny, where I'm running around the world and it's open, but now I run into this, once I pass this certain point, it's either just me or me and my two companions? Is that how it works? Or is it just... What is this? I understand that combat is probably always going to be set up within these kind of like treasure hunt, I think is what they showed at the at E3. That's what the actual competitive combat gameplay is. But is it just me versus bots then? And then you tell me story, and then I go back out into the world and I can play multiplayer matches and all that to upgrade my characters? Or is it actually, or is the story actually, is it say, go play this multiplayer match and win? I'm probably oversimplifying it. But again, this is the question. What is, exactly how does it work? And that's not what's being answered. He's kind of saying it's there, but it's not. How does it work? Skull and Bones, which is coming out in 2018 for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, is an intriguing-looking naval warfare battle game where players try to sink their enemies in the Indian Ocean. Developer Ubisoft Singapore made the naval battle sequences in Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. The studio has contributed to many Assassin's Creed games over the years as a co-developer, and it's also made the canceled Ghost Recon Phantoms. Skull and Bones is the studio's first title as a lead developer since then. Farron also told us not to expect a Nintendo Switch version of Skull and Bones. Keep checking back with GameSpot, blah, 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 blah. I hate to end with me being all angry and all this, but again, this is just it. I want more information. I'm a little frustrated, but that's because I hate these kind of, well, it's there, but it's interesting, but I'm not going to tell you why, and we're not doing, well, we're doing, I'm going to give you a rough outline, but I'm not going to tell you anything. Again, it bothers the hell out of me, because it's not, I'm like, I don't know if you guys are understanding what I'm coming at. If I've talked enough about this, and I need to get my blood pressure down, and I also, Hellblade finally, installed, so I'm gonna go play that. Thanks guys for watching. Like I said, check back after this video, or in a little bit later, early tomorrow, whenever the hell you come back, for Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Thank you for watching. Like I said, timestamps, links to all the articles are down in the description. You can send me any articles or anything through social media or through the comments. Other than that, Facebook, Twitter, the website, minds.com, links all that in the description. Like, comment, if you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time, I'm AJ Gills, the Seal and Third Gaming Channel. I'm out.